Hello, Happy New Year, and a welcome to this year's special Editors Roundtable as a new year dawns. 2025 is gone, a year of great disruption and at times conflict, a year when there was surprise and uncertainty at almost every turn. What then lies ahead in 2026? What are the big questions that remain unanswered on the political, economic, and international front? To look ahead to 2026, we are joined by a stellar panel on the Editors Roundtable. Joining me, Raj Chengappa, Group Editorial Director, Publishing at the India Today Group; Swapan Dasgupta, Senior Journalist and former Member of Parliament; Tavleen Singh, Senior Columnist and Author; Dr. Sanjay Baru, former Editor, Author, Policy Analyst; and Ashutosh, Editor at satyahindi.com. I appreciate all my guests joining me. We're going to break this up into specific segments. And my first big question, what are the principal challenges you believe in 2026 that lie ahead of the Narendra Modi government? That's where I want to start this special roundtable with. Tavleen Singh, to you first, what do you believe is the principal challenge for the Modi government in 2026?
I believe, sorry, Mike, I have a bad throat. I believe really the main challenge before Modi is going to be governance, not political strength and not expanding his political base. But I think that there's been a failure of governance at many levels, which have remained hidden under the bluster of, he's a very good showman, as we know. And so what's covered up is that the BJP states, which his chief ministers are not performing as they should. Let's just take Delhi. In the capital of India, you cannot breathe. That's a failure of governance. There was the Ravali story that, which actually the opposition didn't pick it up, the media did. But the response from the government until the media pressure was, really disappointing. So I think, look at the state of our cities. Look at the investment in human beings is so minimal that, you can have the best highways and railway stations in the world. But if the population dividend, which is the human, the poor Indian, doesn't have the opportunities that he should have, then where are we going? So I think really that is the problem.
Okay, governance challenge is what you call it. Remember, the Prime Minister on LinkedIn has put out a post saying 2025 was the year of the Reform Express. Clearly, Tavleen Singh, and we'll look at the economy in a moment, you don't quite buy those words that we are on a Reform Express, is it?
No, I don't. Okay. I think that there have been some reforms, but not to the extent, no governance reforms. Where is the administrative reforms that would improve governance, that would make it easier for Indians to live in India?
Right. Okay, let's take that to Swapan Dasgupta. Swapan Dasgupta, principal challenge, according to Tavleen Singh, is the governance challenge, administrative reforms. How do you see the principal challenge for Prime Minister Modi's government in 2026?
Well, let me agree and disagree with with what Tavleen has said. The Modi government has laid down that its entire work is oriented towards having India as a developed country, the Viksit Bharat agenda by 2047. Now, that's a very laudable thing. I think everybody agrees with that. Now, there are also, I think everybody would probably agree that there are many unattended facets of government which need serious overhaul. I think reform of the bureaucracy is one aspect of it. Having a greater degree of political accountability is another one. And finally, is trying to get society to work in one direction so that you can have the economic growth of 8% or so, which is there, is also translated into something visible, and there is a feeling, there is a perception on the ground that we indeed are a country which is on the upswing. Now, it is true, as Tavleen said, that there are people who may feel that India is a country which, you can't breathe in. And it's certainly, that's one of the most glaring shortcomings of successive governments, including this one. Now, the point is, that is also there, but there have been various other areas where life has become far easier. And I think it's undeniable.
No, give me one example. Give me one example, because when Prime Minister Modi came to power, he said that we will have more governance, less government. Give me one example where you believe life's become easier.
It's become much easier in terms of taxation laws. It's become much easier in terms of how people deal with the bureaucracy. And that's also thanks to the deft use of technology, which has happened, which has removed one particular area, is that the human discretionary element has been reduced, not taken away completely. I believe we are still, it's still work in progress. And I think we are working in the right direction in that. And that's been something which has been occupying the attention of most of the people in government. However, there are simultaneously, there are parallel political agendas which are there, which have no bearing whatsoever with the issues of governance, but which have a certain cultural political dimension. Now, the attention of the government is equally taken up by those. They've been far more successful in that department than in some of the other areas. This is not to say that today in India, there has been a great deal of economic growth, that India has transformed itself completely from the way Modi inherited it in 2014. So whatever the advantages, whatever the gains, the positive steps which were taken between 1991 and 2014, I think Modi has pressed the accelerator quite firmly, and India is on that on fast track. So I believe that yes, there are reasons for concern. There are issues which need to be. There are reforms which haven't been adequately dealt with. There is far more deregulation which need to be done. There are areas where the government is still intrusive, but compared to what it was, I think we've moved a giant step forward.
Okay, those are two contrasting views in a way. Is there a meeting ground that you find, Dr. Baru, when we look at this question, what are the principal challenges for the Modi government in 2026? Tavleen Singh saying the governance challenge, Swapan Dasgupta saying there has been progress, it is work in progress in a way. Do you see a meeting ground? What is the principal challenge according to you?
Well, I think, first of all, Tavleen is right. There is a governance challenge. It's not just a challenge for Prime Minister Modi, but for every chief minister across the country. There is a huge governance challenge. But it's also true that, as Swapan said, that's work in progress. But, the real challenge, in my view, is that Prime Minister Modi has set Viksit Bharat as his target, right? That country will be developed by 2047. Now, in the first decade of this century, this economy was growing somewhere between 7.5 to 8%. In the last decade, we have been growing at 6.5%. If we want to be a developed economy by 2047, most economists who have done their math tell you that we need an average rate of growth over the next 22 years of 8% for India to become a developed economy by 2047. Now, that means in the next 4 years, we need 9 to 10% growth, because growth slows down over a period of time. So unless we accelerate this rate of growth from 6.5 to 9 in the next 4 years, there is no way we'll become a developed economy by 2047. The simple math will explain that. So I think the biggest challenge is really what Mr. Modi does in the next 1 year, beginning with next 1 year, but taking forward into the next 4 years of his term. Because in a sense, it's also his legacy. His legacy over the last 11 years there's much to be wanting in that legacy. I mean, there are governance issues. There is the issue of security of the minorities at home. There are issues of inequality, the K-shaped growth that has happened since COVID. So there are a lot of serious challenges that we have inherited from the past. But if we really want to move forward at an accelerated pace, then the foundation has to be laid in the next 1 year. Now, the Prime Minister has been talking about reform, etc. But
Now, he's talking about Reform Express. He has suggested a series of reforms that the government has already taken,
I know,
undertaken:
I'm waiting
labor
for the
code, deregulation. He says the government is pushing ahead.
Well, I'm waiting to see the effect of that on investment. I mean, private capital formation in this country has remained stagnant for the last 10 years. The ratio of private capital to GDP has remained stagnant. Now, how do you accelerate it? How do you get investment up? Because, in a sense, given the challenge of the high deficit, there's not much we can expect from government. So the private sector has to step forward, and it is not stepping forward. So there are serious challenges on the economic front, as much as there are serious challenges on the governance front. But on the governance front, as I've said, it's not just the central government, but state governments have a big role to play in improving, law and order, protection of minorities, etc. But on the economic front, the center has to set the pace and has to really push forward. The record of the last 11 years has not been particularly satisfying, considering the challenge.
I'm going to stop you for a moment. We'll come back to whether it's been satisfying or not, because we want to look ahead to 2026. Raj Chengappa, you all had an India Today magazine cover the RBI governor's interview, Goldilocks moment, at a time when the rest of the world is struggling with growth. India has low inflation, relatively high growth, 7.5% at the very minimum. Do you believe that managing the economy is now the major challenge for 2026? Because there are conflicting views as to which direction the economy will go over the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, now let's put it this way, Rajdeep. There are about 3 or 4 major issues that Mr. Modi will have to face. That's political, there's economic, there's governance, as we've talked about, and foreign. And if you come to the economic issue, since you mentioned it, yes, it's a sweet spot that we are in. There's high growth, low inflation. But as Sanjay Baru said, the reform express, as we see it, let's put it this way, needs to move at bullet train speed, not just an express speed as we know it. And therefore, I think what Mr. Modi has done in this in 2025 is set it up to that kind of a pace that is required. If you recall, 2024 was a year after he got didn't get a majority, but became prime minister for the 3rd time historically. There was a certain drift. I think post the Maharashtra elections, Bihar elections, of course, Haryana and Delhi, Mr. Modi has got his, if I may use that word, mojo back. And we've seen that right through 2025, starting with the income tax reduction, the GST rationalization, the series of reforms that have happened, the labor codes.
But private investment, as Dr. Baru pointed out, is still not picking up. So there is some problem somewhere.
Well, what I think Mr. Modi has done is try to fix, earlier he focused a lot on the supply side. This time it's a lot on the demand side. And the hope is that by putting money, consumption, as we've seen in GST and income tax, you would start getting private investment into the business. Yes, it's a serious issue, as Sanjay Baru and others have mentioned, but that is something that they would have to focus on. Fortunately for him, politically, I think he's in a better place, given the fact that he needs to win Assam because BJP is there. But of course, West Bengal is going to be tough. Southern states are going to be tough. But I think this 2026 is a year that he can focus on the big things beyond politics. There are some domestic political issues that he'd have to look out for. Delimitation is something that is expected next year. How is he going to handle it? The Finance Commission's report will be out, so the sharing of finances, and particularly the touchy aspect that Southern financial ministers have been complaining about, that they're not getting the share that they deserve, despite generating the income and revenue that they do for the central government. So that's going to be on the domestic political front. Of course, there are governance issues that Tavleen has talked about, and we need to look at that more. I think there needs to be a lot less bureaucracy, a lot more. I think Mr. Modi has set up several commissions to go into the entire business of, let's put it this way, regulatory cholesterol, and diminishing that considerably. And we've seen some of that happening with the quality control orders. There were a ridiculous amount of quality control orders that were restraining the MSME, something like 800. He's removed 200 of them. He's got a special commission that is going ahead with the Jan Vishwas. So there's a lot of what Tavleen was talking about
But I think what we've agreed. Yes, go ahead.
Finally, let me just talk about the foreign side. I think this is going to be very important. It's a year that they must clinch the Indo-US deal in terms of tariffs. I think they've done well. India's done well by diversifying it, but we do need the US. And therefore, that is going to be a priority number one, where we now understand there's going to be tremendous amount of uncertainty. There's AI coming into the picture. How does India adjust its foreign policy? It had a certain certainty in the past, knowing clearly that the US was backing it. But now that has all changed. So he will have to operate in a highly uncertain
Right.
world. How he conducts his foreign policy is also going to be a great determinant for 2026.
The principal challenge, Ashutosh, you've heard governance, we've heard the economy, we've heard foreign policy. Do you have another idea which you believe is the principal challenge for the Modi government? You've been a critic of the Modi government in the last few years.
See, Rajdeep, if I have to go back in 2025, then I can say that this has been a year of a magnificent failure for the Narendra Modi. Magnificent failure for the Narendra Modi on the 5 count. This is the year which has seen India completely and Mr. Modi completely isolated at the global level. Total isolation of the Narendra Modi at the global level. A very uncertain economy. Even the IMF is saying that Indian data cannot be trusted, and so it puts into the category C. And then the tarnish, the nationalism. Where is Mr. Modi's nationalism? It is tarnished badly. After Pahalgam and the way we surrendered before the Pakistan on the issue of ceasefire, and the way we were beaten left, right, and center by the Mr. Trump, and now even the China is saying that it is they who have brokered a peace between Pakistan and India. And then you know what is the biggest thing is, I completely disagree with what Sopan has said. Life is easier. Yes, life is easier if we can breathe. Where is the governance? Where is the governance?
But governance challenge cannot be just the challenge of the Prime Minister. It's a challenge surely for state governments. I asked you what is you're going back into 2025. I'm asking you what is the principal challenge for 2026?
I'm coming to that, Rajdeep. I'm coming to that. And then one of the things which has been missed completely is Mr. Narendra Modi is going to face organizationally a Sangh Mukta BJP. A Sangh Mukta BJP. I'm reiterating this. Can BJP survive without Sangh in 2026 and onwards? Because if you have a working president, Mr. Nitin Nabeen, then where the BJP extend? There is in the organization level that the total kind of invisible leaders. This has never been a case with the BJP itself. And then you're talking about the delusional Viksit Bharat. We can't breathe. And then there is a serious question mark about the electoral process. So where do we stand as a country? Should we become a Vishwaguru where our electoral process is in doubt, where we can't breathe, where India is isolated, where there is uncertain economy,
Okay,
where
now,
Ashutosh,
you've given us the more extreme view, and there is space, fortunately, in India for all kinds of views. So you've given us the more extreme view that you believe that the Prime Minister has been a magnificent failure. Okay, look, I've given each one of you uninterrupted time at the outset. Mr. Modi obviously faces a variety of challenges, and he remains the central political figure in India. Whichever side of the divide you are, he clearly is the central figure in Indian politics, and that's not going to change in 2026.